Dreaming is the first step in creating any outcome in this world. And Delia has created an incredible outcome. How did you do it? What made you do it?
Hunger. Well,
You needed a job?
yeah, kind of, yes, Yeah, when I went back to school, to graduate school, because I decided I think I'll teach acting instead of beating my head against the wall like every other actor does. I would end that masochistic way of life, and I figured teaching would give me the most time available to go on auditions and do movies and stuff like that, but I'd still be paying the rent.
Could you visualize where the directors needed to go?
No, I had no idea. When I started, when I entered UCLA's graduate school, I became a camp follower of the film department because I was in the theater department, and the film department was very hot and filled with talent and filled with energy and so on. And so I would sort of, I would watch all the films at the end of every quarter, 40 hours of films at the end of each quarter or semester. And it became very apparent very quickly that the talent was in the storytelling, the talent was in the editing, the talent was in all the other, but when it came to the actors, forget it. For the most part, they were pretty bad because they didn't know how to direct an actor.
Well, most people would think that the actors would have to come out of the acting department, and the acting department
No, they didn't.
would
They
have to...
came from the industry. I mean, they were people from outside school.
So would you say that the actors didn't have the proper techniques or the proper process?
No, the actors may have, but they would mail it in. They would do very predictable, cliche kinds of things, the kinds of things that we see every night on television and in a lot of movies, most movies. And so, but, when you think of what it costs, I don't mean in terms of money, but time and energy and money for a film student to have a graduate education in that field, and then to be so good at all the mechanical things and the story, writing this, because they write, they edit, they produce their own films, and then to all of a sudden see the film become weak because the performances didn't live up to the rest of the project.
Okay, so would you say that the public can detect that?
Well, I think they can without being conscious of it. In other words, they're not moved. Mm-hmm. I mean, the theatrical event, whether it's in film or on stage or whatever, is an empathetic experience between the artists up there and the audience. Now, if you don't feel anything for that actor is not giving you anything to react to identify with. Nothing.
Is it difficult to approach a director who needs to acquire that skill?
Well, there were a couple I can think of, one of whom has a very big name, whose name I will not mention. In fact, I've got to tell you this story. It's really hysterical. A student, an ex-student, I'm filled with ex-students, Anyway, a couple of years ago, this student said to me, gee, I was working on such and such a set with so-and-so. And I said, oh yeah, I remember him. He was in one of my first classes. And boy, did he resist me. And I will never forget him. He was so arrogant. Well, he said, well, you're not going to believe this, but he stuck to his guns because he said to the star, all right, cut. Now, let's do that again, but you have to scream more, scream louder. He said, and I thought of you, and I thought you probably hit him over the head if you'd been there. Yes, that's exactly what they shouldn't do. They don't, just to raise the volume on screaming is not directing an actor.
Well, we all know that people are basically result-orientated.
Yeah, right.
And then you get people who are result-orientated
right.
into...
And then you get two negatives make a negative. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's awful.
So how do you take someone who's result-orientated, who learns about this technology. We have an enormous technology for film.
Well, yeah, but I don't deal with the technical aspects.
No, but after they've learned the technical part.
Yeah, they've learned that, but they haven't learned.
Now they're very result-oriented.
Well, yeah, I mean.
How do you
Well,
take
I
that
just tell them
person-
they don't know what they're doing.
You tell them that.
Well, of course.
And when you say you don't know what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. When I started talking about this kind of a course, it had never, ever been dealt with anywhere in the universe, ever. Nobody ever thought that a film director should really know how to direct an actor. They have to know about camera, editing, writing, et cetera, et cetera. They get a lot of exposure and training in that, but not with the actor. But it's the actor that the audience relates to.
Okay.
Wait.
Did that become a problem when sound came in?
I would think so, God.
Because when actors were acting in silent films.
It was pretty bad.
Was it pretty bad?
Well, haven't you ever seen a silent film?
Yeah.
They overacted all over the place and twirled their mustaches.
So,
and, the heroine would flutter her eyelids and things like that. And, oh, her heart,
So basically, you had this idea that the director needs to make the actor more truthful, more believable, more
absolutely.
real.
Absolutely.
Isn't that a question of a certain kind of actor?
Talented, yes.
Okay, talented.
But the thing of it is, look, if you have been exposed only to cliches, if nobody's ever made you aware of the fact that you can take a human being and you can mold him, you can get the best out of him for whatever kind of a role it is, it doesn't matter. But the directors were afraid. They were young, college people. And they were afraid. They were afraid to tap into an actor's feelings. They really were. And they were darling. They were so sensitive and so afraid of hurting somebody or making them experience something that was painful, That was one thing that inhibited them. The other thing is they wouldn't have known how to do it because they never had studied acting, and you can't learn how to do this in 10 weeks. You know what I mean?
Would you say it has anything to do with being creative?
No. Not at all.
So, does it have anything to do with a frame of reference? Because I have a feeling, being raised in the New York theater, that I had been exposed to a great deal of
creative
things
energy.
I've seen some of the greatest. I'm not saying I'm great. I'm just saying I've seen Annie Bancroft. I've seen Opening Night with Barbra Streisand. Opening Night. I've seen 20 years of amazing theater.
Right.
So somehow that had to become part of my frame of reference.
Yes, but how many people have been raised in New York?
Yeah, or
Not
London.
many. I was raised in New York, and I saw that. But most of the people, in fact, come to think of it, I'm just thinking about the first few years that I was teaching that course. I don't remember any New Yorkers in my classes.
Now,
so they were not exposed to anything like that.
Do you have to also work with directors who are already out of the university? Do you have to?
I don't have to, but I have.
Is there any difficulty there?
No.
When they have a way of doing things that might work?
Well, no,
commercially?
it depends on what it is you want to have work.
Well, I think the difficulty from the actor's studio background is basically what's difficult is relationship films.
Yeah.
Shoot 'em up films and things exploding, that doesn't seem to be a problem.
No, that's not a problem.
Okay, and a lot of times with cartoons, they're just using the actor's voice.
Well, I know, but I'm not, I couldn't care less about the genre of the film. Most of these directors are not interested in doing animation. Most of these directors are interested in doing relationship things. Some of them, of course, would like to do technical things. If I could remember the name of the film, RoboCop, I think. One of my students was wrote that. And I think it was one of the first, I never did see it, I'm ashamed to say, but he was one of the first to deal with that kind of supernatural, mechanical, was he a villain or a hero?
Well, and Stanislavski warned that if you're going to put a machine on the stage next to an actor, I mean, now I see, actors acting with the blue screen, and they're not believable, yet the explosion is somewhat believable.
Well, the explosion is believable, but it's up to the actor to create that reality, that environment that will stimulate him.
Where does the director have to step up? I mean, does the director... First of all, I see directors looking at the monitor. They're not looking at the actor.
Oh, shall we not talk about that?
Why can't we talk about that?
Because, in fact, somebody was telling me recently...
I mean, the camera doesn't have the eye of the...
Right. A cinematographer said that it's gotten to the point where actors, rather directors, get behind a wall where all the monitors are. Mm-hmm. And they look at only the monitor. And according to the cinematographers, that an awful lot of films, he said the director should be there with the actor.
Well,
what's he doing behind a wall?
Well, the eye of a human...
And the actor feels that. Feels abandoned.
And also, a camera does not have the eye of a human because a human can pick up an essence. A camera can't pick up an essence.
That's right.
So is that a lack of education on the part of the director, or is that just a new technology?
No. The new technology is giving them more opportunity to feel they're really doing great, but they're not. It's all mechanical.
Right, but
the machine has taken over.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that there's so many people who want to be directors, and there's a need for a lot of directors because we have so much product. Isn't there something I read or heard or studied or was exposed to in my life? I mean, I was exposed to Harold Clurman, Elia Kazan, Jose Quintero. These were all great men. They had a director's eye. Isn't there such thing as a director's eye? Or can you train someone to have a director's eye?
Yeah, but what do you mean by a director's eye? What are you talking about?
Well, the ability to see what you're talking about.
See what?
See the inside of the actor.
Ah. Well, they did because they had training in New York where the actor was treated like... he had a human being who had something to give to this role that is a human being. They understood a process to humanize the actor so that the character could live through the actor. Period. That's all. So but that was New York, not Hollywood.
Okay,
Sorry.
So now, when they had a studio contract system, and they made a lot of great movies, we have a picture of Edward G. Robinson. And I think
he came from the theater.
Ernest Borgnine here, first of all.
They came from the theater.
In the first film. But this is a shot of Ernest Borgnine in Pay or Die.
Right.
Okay, so do we have that picture? So,
and that's my mother behind him.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, Ernest Borgnine obviously was directed.
Yes.
So, would you say that he was directed properly?
Ernie, there are many actors who don't need to be directed by being told to move here, move there, and that's it. Okay? He also came from New York. He had a training of his own. He didn't need some mechanical director, who, by the way, was a very nice guy. He was very much on the actor's side.
And then we have another picture here of your mother, and she was honored by the Italian theater.
The Italian government.
The Italian government for her work in the Italian theater, correct?
And in Hollywood.
And in Hollywood.
Yeah, because they felt she kept the Italian culture alive. That was sweet.
And also we have another picture here of the signing of the book, Friendly Enemies.
Yeah, a friend of mine.
Now tell us what the other name of the book is, the subtitle.
The subtitle is Maximizing the Director-Actor Relationship. Because it's needed.
Okay, and we have another picture of your mom in Lady in White.
Yeah, but that was on location, and that was not part of the story. That was just a snapshot that somebody took.
Sean Penn, I saw an interview on TV, and a director said that all you do with Sean Penn is just tell him where to move. So, if,
That's
and then,
right,
and then
because-
we hear this stuff about, well, you don't have to direct an actor. It's all about how you cast. So,
Oh.
I think there's a lot of influence in the wrong direction, isn't there?
There's a lot of misinformation. Peggy Fury trained Sean Penn. Peggy was Lee Strasberg's protege.
I don't want to brag, but I was in that class.
Yeah. And he
And
learned
Lily
a lot.
Tomlin. And Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And he learned his craft, and he learned it well. And he also, his mother was an actress. His father was an actor that became a director. He was raised in that atmosphere, as I was. But he went and trained with the best teachers that we had.
So we
What do
have
you
to
want?
send a message out there to all these young guys and girls who want to become directors. Besides
Well,
telling
I've
them,
sent the message out.
okay, but they all can't come to UCLA and study with you, can
No.
they? So
However.
what should they do?
Well, I hate to say get the book. It sounds like
No,
I'm pitching the book.
Okay.
It's not
No, we're
that.
not selling the book, but the book is basically,
That's what it's about. It's the tools, giving the director and the actors tools to help them understand each other and to work together.
we had a director's unit at the Actors Studio when I attended the Actors Studio.
Yeah,
Is the director's unit still working at the Actors Studio?
yeah.
Can people still?
Well, you know, it's been on and off for years.
Right. But
And-
it goes on in New York too, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, we have it going now. But there's no attention paid to the. It's only to the writer, to the script. It's not that there's no attention paid really to the director. It's a writer's unit, period.
It's difficult for me because I don't understand, the politics of it. I mean, I don't understand why a country, with this enormous money to spend on films when
Oh.
people don't even have health insurance. We're spending $86 million on a film and $50 million on a film every day. Every day, we just interviewed a producer who finances $50 million movies all the time, and we're grateful for that. So how in this huge country, with this huge amount of money to spend on making pictures, that we still can't seem to get it done right? Why don't the directors...
Well, they do some of it right. Some of them are all right.
Yes,
And-
but I'm talking about in generally, why don't we have some kind of a way of training a director? Is there, I mean, there are directing
wait,
schools.
You're getting, excuse me, but I think you're getting them mixed up.
Okay.
The government has nothing to do with the
No,
training
not
in
the
a
government.
university.
I'm talking
all
about
right?
we have all this money to make films.
No, we don't have all this money to make films. In Hollywood, maybe.
Right.
But the films they make
Right.
are, for the most part, living cartoons, literally.
Right, but there,
Okay.
I do see films that come on that actors
are
have
about
tried to
people.
make relationship films. For example, Jilly, to name one. Jennifer
Jillian.
Lopez did
Which one?
with her boyfriend. She wanted to make a film
Who?
about a relationship. I see relationship films make
Yeah, but
people
they're not
making
as many.
attempts.
But they're not as many.
No,
No, they're
but I'm
not as
saying
many.
a lot of them fail.
Well, as they should, because maybe they're not well done. Did you ever think of that?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we have the money to make the films in Hollywood, and people do want to make relationship films. Is it ignorance? Is it ego?
It's ignorance. The emphasis in most film schools, and most people go to film school now, okay?
Yeah.
They don't do apprenticeships on a set starting from nothing. And the emphasis has always been on the writing and the technicals end of it. It has never been, until I came along, on the communication between the actor and the director. And then it's caught on. Now they're doing it at another university in town, a couple of them, as a matter of fact. It had never been done before because at the time that film schools were, reaching their notoriety, so to speak, in a good way, it was generally run by people who had technical backgrounds, did not have acting backgrounds or directing, as I like to think of directing, which is putting all the elements together. The machinery is in the service of the human being and the story. If the human being and the story really aren't worth much, as far as I'm concerned, you can take all your technology and shove it out the window.
What's stopping all the, I don't know how many theater departments there are, film departments in the United States, but I would assume there's at least 52 since there are that many states.
Oh.
So, I mean, there's more than that, but I think it's the hundreds.
I don't know about Wyoming, for example.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's a film department in every junior college. But why isn't this embraced? I mean, you have had enough exposure. You have trained fantastic directors. You've taught the course. You created the course. You wrote the book. The book is available. Why isn't...
It's catching on. I've got 5 students, ex-students, now teaching at Chapman College in the film school there.
So it's just slow. It's something that's going to catch on slow?
Well, they went into the business first, you know, and they're still involved in the business, but, you know, for an artist, it's feast or famine. And so they were invited to teach there in the film department.
But what about the institutions that are teaching directors? Wouldn't they be interested?
But that's part of it. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Right.
Chapman College, the film department, invited these people down to teach courses in directing. And some of them are better at it than others.
Well, it seemed to me, because I'm an idealist, it would seem to me that everybody would jump on it since it works.
Well, how could... It works if you know what you're doing. It doesn't work if you don't know what you're doing.
No, I say the course works. What you teach people to do.
But that's right. That's what I'm
saying. So it would seem to me that other film departments all over would grab it.
Yeah, but they have to have the person with the knowledge to grab. You know, once I was at a conference at USC, and it was the International Film Council. All the film schools throughout the world would meet once a year in different countries. And that one year they came to LA. And somebody got up, the head of the film department at SE passed away since then, but he said, oh yes, we have a course now. And you know, we were in a big theater, a lot of people, and directing the actor. And he introduced the person who was doing it. And it was this young starlet who really didn't know much about the acting process or the acting instrument. Now, they had the course, and it was named that, whatever they named it. But look who's teaching it.
So we're short of the people that can teach it.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Because it takes more than knowing just about the actor's instrument. For example, I have many times students that are majoring in screenwriting want to come into my class. So if I've got a spot, I'll let them in, because I think it's kind of fun to get them away from their words, you know. And every one of them has come out and said, after it's over, I've rewritten my script. I go home and I rewrite my scripts. I've never thought about character. I've never thought about a character's objective. So in other words, they've been writing scripts without giving much thought to what the story is about and how the actors personify, or how the characters personify what their point of view is. And they've rewritten every script, every one of them. And there haven't been that many, but enough that I'm very impressed by it.
Question.
And I'm delighted.
I have a question.
What?
What would make people take you more seriously?
Why would anybody want? They take me very seriously.
Yeah, but out there.
You mean, what would it take for them to be more aware?
Aware. Of how serious you are and how serious what you're doing is and how important it is to the motion picture industry and television. I mean, this is not some, quirky little cultish kind of idea.
No.
I mean, this is pragmatic.
It had a major impact. It's had a major impact on all the universities in the country.
Good.
Well, sure, because now they all have a course called that. How good it is, I don't know. you know. But if, well, I know that the people who study with me, and if they're teaching, they use my book. That's mandatory. It's required. Oh, and it's also required in my class, by the way. So imagine that, a coincidence. And it's just word of mouth, I guess. I don't know, you know, I could, what should I do? Take an ad out in the New York Times?
I don't think you need to do anything. I think you're doing what you need to do. And I think that my own opinion is that it's a question of people who know that you exist, waking up to the fact that they have to recruit you and use whatever talents you have in creativity.
Right. Well.
And I think that means, in my mind, taking you seriously. Because I have a feeling there are a lot of people out there who may know of you, but maybe they're not realizing, you know, it's like an actor who hasn't been discovered yet. Oh, you know, something in America makes people be taken seriously. I don't know what it is. You know, suddenly, oh, well, let's take her seriously.
You know, it's a lot of promotion, actually, right. Because if you're exposed to the public,
right,
and the public hears what you have to say, then that makes a difference.
And that's why I wanted you on the show. I'd like to share something with you. I prefer to entertain people in the hope that they will learn, rather than teach people in the hope that they are entertained. Walt Disney, another great creator. Thank you so much.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
Couldn't we do this for another 10 hours?